Emily stood by the window of her small house in Maine, watching Daniel rush out the door again, phone pressed to his ear. He didn't even notice the breakfast she had made, or the way she lingered by the counter waiting for him to say something. Their marriage was steady, safe, but the warmth they once shared had quietly slipped away. That morning, Emily packed her bags for the lake house in Vermont, where she planned to spend the summer with her 2 children. Daniel promised he would join them when work allowed, though she doubted he truly meant it. She told herself it was fine. Maybe the space would help. Maybe she needed the stillness of the lake to remember who she was. The drive to Vermont was long, but the kids' laughter in the back seat gave her a kind of comfort she hadn't felt in a while. When they finally arrived, the lake stretched wide before her, glittering under the June sun. The house smelled of cedar and old summers, carrying memories of childhood trips with her parents. Emily settled into the routine quickly mornings making pancakes for the kids. Afternoons reading by the dock, evenings watching the sky change colors as the sun sank low. Life here felt slower, gentler, and she breathed easier than she had in months. On the second evening, while the kids played by the water, Emily walked down the dock, her sandals in her hand. The air was cool, the lake calm, the horizon painted in orange and pink. That was when she heard someone call her name. She turned, startled, and there he was, Michael. She hadn't seen him in more than 15 years. He had grown older, his hair touched with gray, his shoulders broader. But his eyes held the same steady warmth she remembered from childhood summers. Michael had once been the boy next door, the one who taught her to swim, the one who sat with her on the dock and talked about dreams and futures they couldn't yet imagine. They greeted each other with surprise, laughter, and a little awkwardness. He explained he was visiting his sister, who still owned the cabin down the road. He had been living in Boston, working long hours, and had decided to spend some weeks by the lake to clear his head. Emily felt a flicker inside her chest, an unexpected warmth. Not romantic yet, but alive in a way she hadn't felt in years. They talked easily, catching up on where life had carried them, their voices low against the hum of crickets and the gentle splash of water. Emily walked back to the house later that night, her heart unsettled. She hadn't thought about Michael in years, but seeing him again stirred something in her. It wasn't love, not yet. And it wasn't disloyalty, was simply a reminder of the girl she used to be. Before life became lists, chores, and responsibilities, she sat on the porch as the kids slept inside, staring out at the lake, thinking about how different this summer might become. Over the next few days, she and Michael crossed paths naturally. He waved when he jogged by in the mornings, stopped to talk while her children played with their cousins, and once even helped her carry groceries from the car. Their conversations stayed light memories of summers past, stories of where life had taken them, but each time they spoke, she felt a spark she couldn't ignore. Emily didn't know what it meant. She wasn't searching for anything, yet she couldn't deny the shift inside her. Something was awakening. Something she thought had been buried under years of routine and distance. She didn't know then that this summer would change everything, but she felt it quietly, in the way her heart beat faster when she saw him walking toward her by the lake. That was how the summer truly began. The mornings at the lake became brighter once Michael was around. Emily would see him jogging along the trail, waving with that same boyish grin she remembered from years ago. Sometimes he stopped, catching his breath, and they talked as the kids ran ahead toward the dock. It started small, simple exchanges about the weather, about how fast summer seemed to be passing, but each word carried an ease that felt rare in Emily's life. She wasn't used to being listened to like this, not anymore. One afternoon, the children begged for a picnic by the water. Emily spread out a blanket while Michael showed up with a basket of fresh fruit he had picked up from the local market. He sat with them, laughing with the kids, telling stories that made them giggle. Emily found herself watching him, the way his face softened when he spoke to the children, the way he seemed present in a way Daniel hadn't been for a long time. She told herself not to compare, but her heart did it anyway. As the days passed, their conversations deepened. They walked by the lake in the evenings when the air grew cooler, sometimes with the children, sometimes just the two of them. Michael spoke about his work in Boston, how he had dedicated years to climbing the ladder, only to realize success felt empty without someone to share it with. He admitted he had been too focused, too stubborn, and now he wondered if he had let life slip past him. Emily listened quietly, the truth of his words echoing in her own heart. She shared her story, how marriage had turned into routine, how Daniel's absence wasn't intentional cruelty, but still left her feeling forgotten. She confessed she sometimes wondered if she was just a role mother wife, caretaker other than the woman she used to be. Michael didn't judge, didn't interrupt. He simply listened, and in his silence, she felt understood. One evening, the children played near the dock while Emily and Michael sat on the porch steps, watching fireflies glow in the darkness. The air was still, filled with the sound of water lapping against the shore. Michael leaned back, his voice low. "It feels like we've picked up where we left off, doesn't it?" The words hung in the air. Emily's heart raced, but she tried to keep her voice steady. "I suppose it does," she replied, though inside she knew it was more than that. She hadn't felt this scene, this alive, in years. The next day, they took the children on a short hike up the trail that overlooked the lake. The kids ran ahead, leaving Emily and Michael to walk side by side. He noticed the sketchbook in her hand and asked if she still drew. She laughed softly, saying she hadn't in years, not since life had grown too busy. Michael reminded her of the summer she had filled pages with sunsets, and how she once dreamed of painting professionally. His memory of such small details made her chest ache. No one, not even Daniel, seemed to remember those parts of her anymore. Later that evening, after putting the kids to bed, Emily sat alone on the porch. Flipping through her old sketchbook she found tucked in a drawer at the cabin. She hadn't thought of it in so long, but now the pages called to her. She drew the outline of the lake, the reflection of the moon, and for the first time in years, she felt like herself again. She thought of Michael and how, somehow, he'd stirred that part of her back to life. The following night, clouds rolled in, and the lake was wrapped in gray. Michael came over carrying mugs of tea, saying storms always reminded him of childhood summers. They sat by the window as thunder rumbled in the distance, and for a long while, neither spoke. The silence wasn't awkward, it was heavy, charged, filled with the weight of things unsaid. Emily finally broke it. "I don't know what this is," she whispered, her eyes fixed on the rain streaking down the glass. "But it scares me." Michael's gaze lingered on her, steady and kind. "It scares me too," he admitted. "But maybe it means we're still alive inside." Her chest tightened at his words. She didn't know what she was supposed to feel: loyalty to her husband, guilt for the longing in her heart, or relief that someone finally understood her. She only knew that something was changing, and there was no way to stop it. The storm cleared by morning, leaving the air fresh and the lake glistening. Emily tried to carry on as if nothing had shifted, but everything felt different now. Michael's presence lingered even when he wasn't around. She caught herself looking for him on the trail, listening for his voice among the chatter of neighbors, feeling the pull of something she couldn't name. Each day, the connection deepened. Not through grand gestures, but through small moments: a shared glance, a remembered story, a simple kindness. Emily felt caught between two worlds: the life she had built with Daniel, steady but distant, and the life she imagined in fleeting moments with Michael, warm and alive. By the end of July, Emily knew the truth she didn't want to say out loud. It wasn't just old memories binding them. It was something new, something fragile yet powerful, a reminder of how it felt to be seen, to be valued, to be wanted. And though no lines had been crossed, the line itself had become dangerously thin. The summer days slipped by quickly, but inside Emily's heart, time felt heavier. She found herself thinking of Michael even in the simplest moments: pouring coffee in the morning, watching the children swim, sitting quietly with her sketchbook. His face, his words, the way he listened, all stayed with her. She knew she shouldn't feel this way, yet she couldn't push it aside. Daniel's phone calls grew shorter. He was always rushing, always distracted. "Hope you're having fun. I'll try to visit soon," he said one evening, his voice distant. When the call ended, Emily sat on the porch staring at the lake. She wanted to feel anger, but instead all she felt was emptiness. She thought about how easy it had become for them to live like strangers. One afternoon, Michael stopped by with a bag of groceries. "Picked up too much," he said with a grin, though Emily knew he had brought them just for her and the kids. They cooked together in the small kitchen, laughing as the children teased them about being a team. Emily caught herself smiling too much, her cheeks warm. It felt so natural, but at the same time, she knew the danger in it. That night, when the children had gone to bed, Emily sat outside with Michael under the soft glow of the porch light. The air was quiet except for the chirping of crickets. Michael leaned forward, his voice low. "Emily, I don't want to cause you pain. I don't want to step into something I shouldn't, but I can't ignore what I feel anymore." Her breath caught. She had known this moment would come, but hearing the words made her chest ache. "Michael," she whispered, her eyes fixed on the ground. "You can't say that. You know I can't." But she didn't finish because the truth sat heavy between them. She felt it too. She had felt it for weeks. The storm came later that night. Thunder rolling over the lake, rain striking hard against the windows. Michael stayed to make sure the children weren't frightened, sitting with them until they fell asleep. When the house grew quiet again, he joined Emily by the window. The rain blurred the view outside, but inside, the air was thick with silence. Finally, Emily spoke, her voice breaking. "Do you know what scares me most? It's not you. It's how easy it is to feel alive again. How easy it is to remember I'm still a woman, not just someone's wife or someone's mother." Michael's gaze was steady, filled with understanding. "You deserve to feel alive. You deserve to be seen." Tears stung her eyes. She wasn't angry with him. She wasn't angry with herself. She was only lost. She wanted to hold on to her marriage, but she also wanted to hold on to this feeling. This light that Michael had brought back into her life, they didn't touch. Didn't cross that final line, but in their silence. The truth was louder than any words. Emily lay awake long after Michael left, listening to the storm fade into the night. Her heart beat with guilt and longing at the same time. The next morning, she tried to bury it, telling herself to keep busy. She cooked, cleaned, played with the kids, but Michael's presence lingered in her thoughts. When she saw him later by the dock, their eyes met, and she knew he felt the same. The tension between them was undeniable now. A quiet fire neither of them could put out. Days turned into weeks, and every moment with Michael became sharper, heavier. A simple walk by the lake, a shared laugh, a glance across the porch, it all carried a weight they both understood. They never spoke of love, but the feeling was there. Hanging unspoken in the air, Emily's heart ached with the question she didn't dare answer. How long could she walk this thin line without crossing it? How long could she live between loyalty and longing? She didn't know the answer. All she knew was that the line was fading, and soon she would have to choose. The end of summer came faster than Emily expected. The children began talking about going back to school, and the mornings grew cooler, carrying the smell of autumn leaves. Yet inside, Emily felt restless, as if she were standing at the edge of something she could no longer ignore. Michael had become too important to present in her days. Every glance, every word, every moment with him had left a mark. And though they hadn't crossed the line, her heart already had. One evening, as the sky turned orange, Daniel finally drove up to the lake house. Emily stood on the porch, watching him step out of the car. His shirt was wrinkled, his eyes tired, but his smile tried to cover the distance that had been building between them. The children rushed into his arms, their laughter filling the air, but Emily felt a strange heaviness. For weeks, she had been living two lives, one with Daniel in memory, and one with Michael in the present. That night after dinner, Daniel sat with her on the porch. The lake was calm, the crickets singing in the dark. He asked simple questions about the children, about the house, but Emily could sense he wasn't blind. He studied her as if noticing something he hadn't seen before. And she knew the moment had come. She could not keep silent anymore. Her voice trembled as she began. "Daniel, this summer has shown me things I didn't want to see. I realized how far apart we've grown. I've been lonely more than I've ever admitted. And I've felt things here I didn't expect." Daniel turned to her, his face tight, his jaw clenched. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice low. She swallowed hard. "I haven't betrayed you with actions, but I have felt something. With someone. And it scared me because it made me realize how empty we've been." Silence fell between them. Daniel looked away, his hands gripping the armrest of the chair. The crickets kept singing, the water lapped against the dock, but the world felt unbearably still. Emily's chest ached as she waited for him to speak. When he finally did, his words were raw. "You're telling me you've found what you've been missing?" "With another man?" Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't go looking for it, but it happened. And I need to be honest, because pretending won't fix us." Daniel stood, pacing the porch. Anger flickered in his eyes, but behind it was something deeper: hurt, fear, regret. "I thought I was working for us," he said. "I thought providing was enough. I didn't know I was losing you." Emily wiped her cheeks, her voice breaking. "I don't want to lose you, but I can't keep living as if everything is fine. We've stopped seeing each other, Daniel. We've stopped trying. And this summer showed me how much I miss being seen." For the first time in years, Daniel looked directly at her. Really looked. The silence stretched long, heavy with all the things they had never said. Then his voice softened. "So what now? Do you want to stay with me, or do you want to walk away?" Her heart pounded. She thought of Michael, of the warmth he brought, of the way he reminded her of herself. She thought of her children, of the years she and Daniel had built together. And she knew she couldn't answer that question in a single night. In the days that followed, the air in the house was thick with tension. Emily and Daniel spoke in fragments, sometimes with anger, sometimes with tears, sometimes with long stretches of silence. Yet for the first time in a long while, they were talking. They were facing the truth rather than burying it. Michael didn't come by anymore. He kept his distance, respecting what Emily had chosen to face her marriage instead of running from it. She missed him, but she also knew that letting him go was the only way to truly know what her marriage could become. As the last week of summer faded, Emily stood by the lake one evening, watching the sunset paint the water gold. She thought of everything: the laughter, the tears, the storm, the confession. She didn't know what the future held. Maybe she and Daniel would rebuild. Maybe they wouldn't. But one thing was clear: she could never return to who she was before. That summer had stripped away the silence, the distance, the pretending. It forced her to face the truth about her heart, her marriage, her needs, and whether her future held Daniel or something else entirely. She knew she would never again settle for being unseen. That summer had changed everything.